All right, let's talk about something we all deal with. Conflict in our relationships. It can be one of the most stressful things, right? Today, we're going to break down a really simple but honestly powerful framework from psychologist Lasater that can help you turn those big, heated arguments into moments of actual connection. Let's dive in.
First things first, we need to understand the common trap that so many of us fall into. It's this frustrating cycle that can make a tiny little issue feel like this massive, world-ending problem. And I'm willing to bet you're going to recognize this pattern immediately.
You know the feeling, right? One of you comes home, you're tired, you're a little cranky, a small comment gets made, and next thing you know, you're in a full-blown fight that has absolutely nothing to do with what you were even talking about in the first place. You've basically just created a brand new, much bigger problem completely out of thin air.
This is what Lasater calls the problem plus one. Think about it. The original problem was just having a tough day at work. That's it. But a bad reaction, a snappy comment, a defensive tone, creates a new problem on top of it. Now you're fighting with your partner. So your stress just doubled, and guess what? The tough day at work is still there, unsolved.
Okay, so how do we get out of this trap? Well, it all starts with a simple but really profound realization. You can only solve problems when you're actually in the right frame of mind to do it.
According to Lasater, we're basically in one of two moods when a conflict comes up. The first is the problem creation mood. This is when you're angry, exhausted, just plain cranky. Trying to talk through an issue then? It's like pouring gasoline on a campfire. Then there's the problem-solving mood. This is when you're calm, you're open, you're ready to listen. And here's the key, real solutions only ever happen in that second mood.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's the foundational rule of this whole thing. If you're not in the right headspace, you are almost guaranteed to make things worse. So, the single most important first step to having a fair conversation is knowing when not to have it.
So, what do you actually do when you realize you're in that destructive problem creation mood? You need a tool, a simple way to just hit the pause button on the whole thing. This simple phrase is so incredibly effective. It does two crucial things. First, it stops the fight before it can even get going. And second, it tells your partner, hey, this issue is important to me and I want to resolve it, by scheduling a specific time later. It's a pause, not a rejection.
Now this one is for when your bad mood has nothing to do with your partner. Maybe your boss was a jerk or you got stuck in traffic. By saying, it's not you, you instantly calm their potential fears. You're taking ownership of your own feelings while protecting them from getting caught in the crossfire.
And let's be real, sometimes a short break just isn't enough. You take a walk, you cool down, and you're still mad. It happens. This phrase gives you permission to ask for more time. It's so much better to take the time you actually need than to jump back in too early and just make the hole you're in even deeper. All right, so you've successfully hit pause. You've both had some time to cool down. Now what? This is where a structured plan comes into play, a clear roadmap for having a conversation that's actually fair and, productive.
Before you say a single word about the actual issue, you both have to check in. Lasater apparently started every single counseling session by asking, are you in a problem-solving mood? If either person said no, they just didn't start. Think of this as the non-negotiable ticket you both need to enter the conversation. The first 4 steps are all about one thing, making sure one person feels completely and totally heard. Step 1 is no nukes. That means you stick to the one issue at hand. You don't bring up that thing that happened 3 years ago. Step 2, one person shares, vulnerably. Then step 3, the other person's only job is to repeat back what they heard, as close to word for word as possible. No commentary, no defense. And finally, step 4, the speaker just confirms. Yes, that's what I said. This isn't about agreeing, it's just about proving you were listening.
And I really want to pause on this because this right here is a total game changer. When you lead with anger, you put people on the defensive, right? But when you say, I felt hurt when you did that, or I was afraid that, you're showing a vulnerability. And that invites compassion, not conflict. It just completely flips the entire dynamic of the conversation. Okay, now we get to the resolution. The listener responds with compassion, not excuses. Then they commit to a specific, concrete action they can take to avoid that problem in the future. The first person accepts that commitment and, this is huge, agrees that the issue is now closed. It can't be brought up again as ammo in the next fight. Then, if needed, you can switch roles and do the whole thing over for the other person's concerns. So when you actually start putting all these pieces together, choosing your mood, hitting pause, following these steps, the entire nature of how you argue completely changes.
Let's go back to that original scenario, right? The tough day at work.
The old way, a tired, cranky response, leads to a new fight, and everybody feels terrible. But the new way, someone uses a simple pause phrase. The real talk is saved for later, when you're both ready. And instead of creating another problem, you actually create a moment of respect and connection. The conflict itself becomes a chance to make the relationship stronger.
So, let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. It all starts with recognizing your own mood. If you're not in a problem-solving headspace, just hit pause. When you're both finally ready, follow those 8 steps for a fair conversation. And through it all, remember to share your hurt, not your anger. That's the real key that unlocks compassion and gets you to a resolution.
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. This whole framework isn't just about trying to avoid fights. It's about completely transforming them. It reframes conflict not as a threat to your relationship, but as maybe one of your best opportunities to build trust, to build respect, and to build a much, much deeper connection.